Yesterday morning, just after I woke up, I heard the sound of an ambulance stopping outside my neighborhood. When I looked through the window, I saw paramedics rushing toward an elderly man while his wife stood nearby, visibly shaken. Within minutes, they carefully placed him onto a stretcher and drove away with the emergency lights flashing. As I watched the ambulance disappear, one question kept running through my mind. How could an ordinary morning suddenly turn into a medical emergency? Later that day, I learned something that surprised me even more. According to one of the family members, he hadn't done anything unusual. He had simply followed the same morning routine he had repeated for years. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that looked dangerous. But sometimes it's the habits we never question that deserve the closest attention. Here's something many people don't realize. The first hour after waking up is one of the busiest and most demanding times for your heart. Before you've even had breakfast, your body is already working harder than you think. Within minutes of opening your eyes, stress hormones naturally begin to rise. Your heart starts beating faster. Your blood pressure increases as your body prepares to become active. After spending 7 or 8 hours without drinking water, your blood is also slightly more concentrated than it was the night before. For younger adults, the body usually adapts to these changes without much difficulty. But for many people over the age of 60, especially those living with high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, or heart disease, this natural morning transition can place extra strain on the cardiovascular system. In fact, research has shown that heart attacks and strokes occur more frequently during the morning hours than at many other times of the day. That doesn't mean mornings are dangerous by themselves. It means your heart is already working harder, and certain everyday habits can increase that workload even further. Today, we're going to look at 5 common morning habits that many people repeat every single day without giving them a second thought. Some of these habits may seem harmless, others may even feel like the responsible thing to do. But understanding when and how you do them could make a meaningful difference. Let's begin with the first habit. Many people wake up, reach for their medications, swallow them with a tiny sip of water, and continue their morning routine. It feels organized. It feels disciplined. But for some older adults, especially those taking medication for blood pressure or heart conditions, taking those medicines on a completely empty and dehydrated stomach may not always be the best approach. After a full night's sleep, your body is naturally low on fluids. Your blood pressure is already changing as part of the normal waking process. Without enough water, or without even a light snack in some cases, certain medications may be absorbed differently, increasing the chance of dizziness or a sudden drop in blood pressure for some individuals. That simple moment can become especially risky when you stand up quickly or begin walking around the house. The encouraging news is that, for many people, a small adjustment, such as drinking a full glass of water first and discussing medication timing with your healthcare provider, may help make the morning transition gentler and safer. But if you think this is the biggest mistake people make after waking up, wait until you hear the next one. It's something almost everyone does without thinking, and cardiologists have been warning about it for years because of the surprising strain it can place on the heart. The second morning habit surprises almost everyone because it happens in one of the most ordinary parts of the day. It's something we rarely think about: using the bathroom. At first, that probably sounds strange. After all, how could something as normal as a morning bowel movement have anything to do with your heart? The answer isn't the bathroom itself, it's what happens when people strain too hard. Many older adults experience occasional constipation. Some brush it off as a normal part of aging. Others don't think twice about pushing harder to get the job done. But your heart notices. When you hold your breath and strain forcefully, the pressure inside your chest rises dramatically. Doctors call this the Valsalva maneuver. During those few seconds, blood returning to your heart temporarily decreases. Your heart has less blood to pump, and your blood pressure can briefly fall. Then, as soon as you stop straining and begin breathing normally again, blood flow rapidly returns. Your blood pressure may rise just as quickly. For a healthy young adult, the body usually handles this change without much trouble. But if you're over 60, have high blood pressure, narrowed arteries, or an existing heart condition, these sudden swings can place additional stress on a cardiovascular system that's already working harder during the first hour after waking. This is one reason healthcare professionals often encourage people to avoid excessive straining whenever possible. Fortunately, there are simple ways to reduce the risk. The first is hydration. Remember that glass of water we talked about earlier? It doesn't just help after taking medication. Staying well hydrated also supports normal digestion and may make bowel movements easier. Diet also plays an important role. Eating enough fiber from fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other fiber-rich foods can help maintain regular bowel habits. Gentle daily movement, such as walking, can also support healthy digestion. And perhaps the most important advice is this: never rush. Many people hurry through their morning routine because they're trying to get to work, keep an appointment, or simply stay on schedule. That pressure often leads people to strain more than they should. Instead, allow your body the time it needs. If constipation becomes a frequent problem, don't simply accept it as part of getting older. Speak with your healthcare provider. Sometimes a simple adjustment to your diet, medications, or treatment plan can make a significant difference. Now here's something even more surprising. The next habit doesn't involve medication. It doesn't involve the bathroom. And it doesn't involve physical activity at all. In fact, millions of people trigger it within seconds of opening their eyes. They haven't even gotten out of bed yet. With just one tap on a screen, they unknowingly flood their body with stress at the exact moment their heart is already under its greatest natural workload. And what happens next may explain why cardiologists often recommend protecting the first hour of your morning more carefully than most people ever imagine. The third morning habit doesn't look dangerous at all. In fact, most people think it's completely harmless. The moment they wake up, they reach for their phone. Within seconds, they're scrolling through breaking news, reading stressful emails, checking social media, or responding to messages that immediately put them under pressure. It has become such a normal routine that most of us don't even question it. But your heart experiences it very differently. Remember what happens during the first hour after waking. Your body is already going through a natural transition. Stress hormones like cortisol are rising. Your heart rate begins to increase. Blood pressure starts climbing as your body prepares for the day ahead. Now imagine adding emotional stress on top of that. A negative news headline, an unexpected bill, a worrying text message, an argument online, a work email marked urgent. Each of these situations can trigger another wave of stress hormones. Your heart begins beating faster, blood pressure may rise even further, and your body shifts into what is commonly known as the fight or flight response. For someone with a healthy cardiovascular system, these changes are usually temporary, but for many older adults, especially those with heart disease, high blood pressure, or diabetes, adding unnecessary emotional stress during this already demanding period may place additional strain on the heart. That's why many heart specialists encourage patients to create a calmer start to their mornings. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone, give your body a chance to wake up naturally. Open the curtains, take a few slow, deep breaths. Drink a glass of water. Spend a few quiet moments stretching or simply sitting peacefully before exposing yourself to the demands of the outside world. You might be surprised how much calmer your entire day feels. The goal isn't to ignore reality. Your emails will still be there. The news will still be there. Those notifications can wait another 20 or 30 minutes. Giving your heart a little extra time to adjust costs you almost nothing, but it may help reduce unnecessary stress during one of the busiest periods of the day. Now, before we move on, if you're finding this information helpful, consider subscribing to the channel. Our goal is to share practical, research-based health information in a way that's easy to understand, especially for adults over 60 who want to stay active, independent, and informed. And speaking of habits that seem healthy, the next mistake is one that surprises almost everyone. Many people believe it's one of the best ways to start the day because it helps them feel refreshed, relaxed, and energized. But according to many healthcare professionals, doing it immediately after getting out of bed may not always be the safest choice for an aging cardiovascular system. Once you understand what's happening inside the body, you'll probably never look at your morning routine the same way again. The fourth morning habit catches many people off guard because it feels comforting. On a cold morning, there's nothing quite like stepping into a hot shower. The warm water relaxes your muscles, eases joint stiffness, and helps you feel fully awake. For many older adults, it's the perfect way to begin the day. But here's what most people never think about. While that hot water feels soothing on the outside, your cardiovascular system is making rapid adjustments on the inside. Heat naturally causes blood vessels near the surface of your skin to widen. This process helps your body release excess heat and regulate temperature. As those blood vessels expand, blood is redirected toward the skin. In some people, this can cause blood pressure to fall temporarily. If you've just gotten out of bed, your body is already adjusting from several hours of sleep. Your blood pressure is changing, your heart is working harder, and if you haven't had anything to drink yet, mild dehydration may still be present. Adding a very hot shower immediately after waking may increase the likelihood of feeling lightheaded or dizzy, especially in older adults or those taking blood pressure medication. Have you ever stood in a hot shower and suddenly felt weak? Maybe your vision became blurry for a few seconds. Maybe you grabbed the wall because you felt unsteady. Many people simply assume they're tired, but sometimes it's your body telling you that your blood pressure has dropped more than expected. The biggest danger isn't usually the shower itself. It's the possibility of losing your balance. Bathrooms are filled with hard surfaces, slippery floors, and sharp edges. Even a simple fall can lead to serious injuries, particularly for older adults. The good news is that this doesn't mean you have to stop enjoying your morning shower. Instead, make a few simple adjustments. Before stepping into the shower, drink a full glass of water. Allow yourself a few minutes to fully wake up rather than rushing straight from bed into hot water. Keep the water comfortably warm instead of extremely hot, especially during the first hour after waking. If you've ever felt dizzy while showering, mention it to your healthcare provider. It may be related to blood pressure, medication timing, dehydration, or another condition that deserves attention. Small changes like these may help make your mornings both safer and more comfortable. Now we've covered medications, straining, emotional stress, and hot showers, but the fifth and final mistake may be the most dangerous of them all. The reason is simple. It isn't something you do. It's something you ignore. Thousands of older adults experience the warning signs every week, convince themselves it's nothing serious, and promise they'll deal with it later. Unfortunately, for some people, later never comes. In the final part, we'll talk about the subtle morning symptoms that should never be brushed aside, and I'll also share a simple 5-minute morning routine that can help your heart transition from sleep to activity more gently each day. The fifth and final morning mistake isn't something you eat or drink. It isn't a medication. It isn't a shower. In fact, it's something many people dismiss without giving it a second thought. Ignoring your body's warning signs. As we get older, it's easy to blame almost everything on age. A little chest tightness? It's probably just muscle stiffness. Feeling short of breath after getting out of bed? I'm just getting older. A little dizziness that disappears after a minute? It'll pass. A fluttering heartbeat? I've felt that before. The problem is that while many of these symptoms can have harmless causes, they can also be your heart's way of telling you that something isn't right. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting until the symptoms become unbearable before seeking medical advice. Unfortunately, heart problems don't always begin with the dramatic chest pain we see in movies. Sometimes the warning signs are much quieter. You may notice pressure or discomfort in your chest that comes and goes. You may feel pain that spreads into your shoulder, arm, jaw, neck, or upper back. Some people experience unusual shortness of breath while doing very little. Others notice unexplained fatigue, dizziness, or a racing heartbeat, especially during the first hour after waking. These symptoms don't automatically mean you're having a heart attack. But they do deserve medical attention, particularly if they keep returning or become more noticeable over time. The sooner heart disease is identified, the more treatment options are often available. That's why it's so important not to ignore recurring symptoms or assume they're simply part of aging. If something doesn't feel normal for you, speak with your healthcare provider. A simple evaluation today could help prevent a much more serious emergency tomorrow. Now, before we finish, let me share a simple 5-minute morning routine that brings together everything we've discussed. When you first wake up, don't rush out of bed. Take a few slow, controlled breaths and allow your body a moment to transition from sleep to wakefulness. Next, sit up slowly and drink a full glass of room temperature water to help replace fluids lost overnight. Then spend a minute gently moving your feet and ankles, followed by light stretches for your shoulders, neck, and arms. These small movements help improve circulation and prepare your muscles for activity. Finally, when you stand up, do it slowly. Pause for a few moments before you begin walking. If you feel dizzy or lightheaded, sit back down and give your body another minute before trying again. This entire routine takes only about 5 minutes, but it encourages a calmer, more gradual start to the day. If today's video helped you see your morning routine in a different way, let me know in the comments which habit surprised you the most. And if you know someone over the age of 60 or anyone living with high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart disease, consider sharing this video with them. Sometimes the smallest changes in our daily habits can make the biggest difference over time. Thank you for watching, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.